been a lot of discussion recently on Facebook, forums, just in general in the golf community about ground reaction force, which I think is fantastic because really everything starts at the ground. No matter how you really want to sort of teach or your philosophy on teaching, ultimately everything really starts at that ground interface and utilizing that ground reaction force to initiate movement in the golf swing. However, I just was recently at a lunch and learn, and we spent time talking about this ground reaction force concept. And what I think, and I just wanted to shoot a quick video. What I think is interesting is to know what's going on, understand the mechanisms, understand the science. A lot of times, however, eliciting a movement or training a movement takes more than just understanding the concept. So I thought I would just throw out some ideas. Obviously, if you're trying to train lower body movement, you can certainly work on lower body movement, okay? But another way to think about this, another option for training, another avenue, another approach to training lower body mechanics is to think about the fact anytime I move my arms or my upper torso, my upper body, okay, I have to initiate or have to create equal and opposite force in my lower body. So in other words, if I want to move my arms rapidly this way, okay, my lower body has to work to initiate that process. So in other words, if I'm trying to rotate this direction in the golf swing, and I'm standing on an unstable surface as we've discussed, if I try to move this direction, my lower body is pushing in a way that's going to create a pattern this way, the ground reaction moving this way, right? So if I move my arms without even moving my lower body, let's say I'm standing on a Reebok cordboard or some unstable surface, and I work from here to here, my lower body is going to automatically respond to that movement by twisting. If we have an unstable surface, you'll see that opposite movement occur. If I'm not standing on an unstable surface and I just move like this, boom, from here to here, underneath underneath that movement, my lower body has had to create an appropriate rotational pattern, or what's a ground reaction torque pattern at the ground, which is then translated up through the system. It has to happen. So, in other words, just moving this elicited a good lower body pattern. Okay, so if I have a med ball, let's grab a med ball. So if I want to train my lower body to be explosive, to create torque and initiate a quick acceleration of the lower pelvis, or I mean, sorry, the lower body and the pelvis, then all I have to really do is focus on moving my upper body quickly. If I use a med ball path, boom, okay? Obviously I'm not going to pass this, but if I had a wall where the camera is, and I'm going to snap this ball at the wall, throw hard, bam, okay? In order to do this movement, my lower body has to be quick and explosive and create a rotational torque pattern. You know that's occurring if you're standing on a cordboard, Reebok cordboard or some unstable surface. You know it's happening because as soon as you do this, your lower body is going to spin. Okay? So when it's not there and you're connected to the ground, you're creating torque. All right? So in other words, obviously when you're working on the lower body, you can focus on moving the lower body, sure. But another way to approach this problem is by focusing on moving the extremities in the upper body. Okay? The faster, more explosive that movement, the faster, the more explosive the ability or the need of the lower body to create that torque. The more we focus on momentum, the more we are emphasizing change of direction, creating that resistive force, that braking force, and then changing direction. So a short, quick, explosive movement is emphasizing quickness. A longer, more momentum-driven activity is going to focus on change of direction and speed. So let me show you two golf activities that have those relationships. So the first one, and we can use, well, I'll tell you what, we can use the ball and the club first, and then we'll do free swings. So an activity, even though and now this is the strange part for most people, is I'm locking my lower body in, better connecting to the ground with the Swiss ball. I'm actually working on lower body mechanics here. Okay, so I'm going to heighten the intensity of the activity by compressing the time and the distance that's being traveled. I'm going to do a little half swing, impact, boom. Although all I focused on was getting my arms and the club from here to here, in order to do that, I had to create an appropriate torque pattern. The ball cueing me to grip the ground effectively to make it a really effective, so I wasn't tipping and tilting. But that was a short compressed time and range of motion, necessitating the need for quickness. And lower body quickness is important and crucial in the golf swing, okay? So that is actually a lower body exercise. The next thing would be to add some momentum. So we're going to add a backswing. Now this is going to, the momentum is going to lengthen the time restriction and the range of motion, and we're going to emphasize more on change of direction, creating a braking torque and then accelerating change of direction and top end speed. Okay? So now we start here. With that momentum, I now have to really take my time to change and really effort to change direction. Okay? So those are restricted, keeping the lower body connected to the ground with the Swiss ball, emphasizing connection, which is breeding a better ability to create that torque. So you've got upper body looking exercises, almost restricted lower body, but really lower body exercises. Take the same two activities and now make them free swings. Okay, so here, half swing, short compressed time, explode. All right, that, although my focus was not to initiate my lower body, my focus was to crank the club through that impact zone as quickly as possible. That exercise is all about the lower body quickness, explosiveness, creating torque pattern. Add momentum by starting the club forward or down the target line. We're going to swing past, boom, okay? Now we're emphasizing the braking torque, the change of direction, overcoming that momentum, and then top end speed. So those two things, those two exercises, in addition to being core plyometrics and other types of impact, having other types of impact, are really predicated on lower body mechanics. If you don't use your lower body effectively, you can't do those exercises, and we're eliciting the lower body mechanics by driving the upper body. So we're focused on arm movement and club movement, quickness, to elicit the lower body. So you don't always have to attack the lower body, use the lower body. You don't have to actually always try to use the lower body to create lower body speed. In fact, many times when you're trying to use your lower body, you're slowing it down. When I'm focused on being as quick as I can from point A to point B, or changing direction as quickly as I can, I'm really working on really emphasizing the lower body connection, the lower body force production, ground reaction force production, and utilization of that force to create explosive, quick hip speed. Remember, in the golf swing, when you take that club back, hip speed, peak hip speed occurs like right there. It's got to be quick. It's not, this isn't peak hip speed out here. It's right here. When I'm changing direction, boom, that is where I get my peak hip speed. It's right there. So I've got to be quick, I've got to be ballistic, and I've got to be powerful. Okay, so you're talking about speed and you're talking about quickness. They're two different things. And we can elicit those not only by working on the lower body, but working on moving the upper body quickly and appropriately to get that lower body to respond.